Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. I'm Brian Winnikins on this Tuesday morning as we continue our spotlight on the Gilbertson family. They are the host for the Saturday Dunn County Dairy Brunch. That's right, it's a brunch from 9 to 1 here at the Gilbertson Farm, just outside of Elk Mound on Saturday. And thank you to Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin for supporting our Dairy Farm Family Salutes. And we're with Brandon right now. He's Kevin's son, and he's the next person up to be running the farm, and he does a lot of stuff in the barn. And we're going to talk with Brandon here this morning a little bit about how he cares for the cows and some of the things that he does with the cows. And Brandon, thanks for joining us. Well, I guess the first thing, you know, with the number of cows you also have a lot of calves, I bet, which is how do you care for those calves?
So after we milk the cow, we feed the colostrum to the calf, which is the first milk. And then after that, they're in huts, they're bottle fed. And we actually have the ability, we have a heifer raiser, so we only keep our calves for about a week or two, and then he takes all of our heifers. We're pretty fortunate that way, so we don't have too many calves on farm compared to the average farm, but that was a thing that they wanted to do back in the 90s, was have custom heifer raising, and it's worked out well for us.
Tell us about the huts. How do these protect the calves, and why do they go into huts?
So the reason we have huts is it, like, not having calves for that long, it just is a more of a reasonable way to care for them. But the individual huts is so they don't spread disease. Calves are very susceptible to disease and illness, and so that's why we like to keep them separated individually the first couple days. The huts are about 4 by 8, little house basically, and they got a little fence in the front where they feed them, and they got a door in the back to bed from, and got some air movement there. And in the wintertime, we actually have a door we can put on the front, so you keep the snow out. So,
and they actually stay very warm in the winter, but also cool in the summer in these huts, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, in the wintertime, we put jackets on them and bed them down with straw, and summertime, we open the doors and we just have some sawdust on them, and they do just fine.
So tell us about the cows in the barn that you have. How do you keep them cool and or warm depending on the weather?
So we have wind tunnel barn, so we're pulling air in and pushing it out, and we have a lot of pusher fans throughout the barn. So we just try to keep steady air movement over the cows, and that's probably the best thing to do to keep a big 1,500-pound animal cool, because their body temperature is 101.5, which is a lot higher than the average human. So they do a lot better in that way. We actually don't use any water because we're a robot farm. We don't want to have the cows segregated at one spot. We want to keep them moving. But in a parlor farm, you sometimes use sprinklers, and you get more benefit to that because you have a whole herd mentality. And in the wintertime, we close down the curtains. We shut fans off. We slow fans down, and we just still keep a slow breeze and keep some fresh air in there, but we're not blowing it full bore.
Talking with Brandon Gilbertson this morning from Gilbertson Farms. They are the host for this Saturday's Dunn County Dairy Brunch from 9 to 1 here at the Gilbertson Farm just outside of Elk Mound. Again, thank you to Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. So, Brandon, for the cows in the barn, what are some of the other things that you do because you have to have, for like a veterinarian, do they have to come in to monitor? How do you monitor their health to make sure that you can still milk them?
So every Monday morning, we have our vet come out and we do herd health, and we go through the whole barn and see how many, check to see if they're pregnant and if they're sick or not. And like I said, every Monday morning, even actually this past year, the vet even came out on Christmas. That was her doing. We told her that she didn't have to, but we're very diligent and we stick to that routine. And then that's the biggest thing you can have with cows is routine.
They really do like that, and one, it's better for their health. But I've always heard my great uncle, when I was helping him back in the 70s on his small dairy farm in the summer, he always said, "Brian, happy cows make more milk, and that's what we want."
Yeah, that is true. And having the robots, they just are way more docile than what they were in the parlor. They kind of almost got that individual stall barn mentality. There's cows out there in the barn now that I can go and sit on top of them, and they wouldn't even care. That's something you'd see in a stall barn. You don't really see that in a freestall or parlor scenario.
Talking with Brandon with Gilbertson Farms this morning. So you mentioned that the cows just go on their own to get milked at the robot?
Yeah, yeah, they basically do. We have what's called control flows. We have DeLaval robots, which they're the blue ones, and we got little gates and sort gates that kind of route the cows to the robot and back out to feed. Ultimately, the cows are coming because they want to go, not necessarily get milk, but they want the treat in the robot and they want to go get the feed at the bunk. So food motivates me, so a 1,500-pound animal is going to get motivated by food, so that works fairly well.
Okay, but I'm going to be, even though I'm a guy, but let's say I'm going to be the cow in the group saying, I like the treats so much, that was great. I'm going back around again. I want more treats. What happens then?
So that, with the benefit of having control flow, is that cow comes around, let's say 10 minutes after she got milked, she wants to get the treat again. The sort gate's just going to divert her back out to the feed bunk, and she's going to get the rest of her PMR there. She's not going to get sorted to the robot and waste the robot's time. In some other barns it isn't that way, so that's kind of nice.
So with this, and the reason that is that the robot is like, no, we already milked you. It's really to protect the cow, isn't it?
Yeah, and not waste time. We want to keep those cows efficient. We want the cows that are going to need to get milked, or most priority, we want them in the robot. And if the cow doesn't need to be milked, we want her lying down, chewing her cud, drinking water, or eating at the bunk. We don't want her standing around, in the robot or in the holding area.
Now, when they are in the barn, okay, they've been milked, they've eaten, they've gone. They can pick a spot wherever they want inside to lay, but what if they want to walk around? Can they do that?
Oh yeah, the barn's 380 feet long, and they go to the far end when they could only walk 40 feet, and some of them go all the way to the far end, and I don't know why, but some want the exercise and want to get away from other cows, but they got lots of room in there.
Along with the herd health with the veterinarian every Monday, for the feed and that sort of thing for the cows in the herd, does the vet help you with that, or do you have actually someone totally different for that?
We have a father-son pair that help with our nutrition work, and they've been doing a very, very good job that way. We've actually been their first robot herd, so they learned a lot alongside us, and they were very accepting to go this way.
We are talking with Brandon Gilbertson, him and his dad, and the Gilbertson family, entire Gilbertson family, are farming here on Gilbertson Farms, and they are the host of this Saturday's Dunn County Dairy Brunch, 9 to 1 here at the Gilbertson Farm, just outside of Elkmount. And tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more with Brandon about the milking part of it and how the farm protects that milk and keeps it safe even before it leaves the farm. We'll talk a little bit about that here coming up on Wednesday. You're listening to WRDN.